Imagine walking into the airport, sidestepping that dreaded moment at gate check-in when your carry-on suddenly turns into a paycheck bag, and nobody warned you. With 2026 fast approaching, there's a set of new carry-on rules quietly taking shape, and they're being rolled out in ways that almost no one is talking about. The catch? The primary gatekeeper, Transportation Security Administration, TSA, isn't shouting these changes from the rooftops. Instead, they're tucked inside policy upgrades, memos, and evolving enforcement. And that's exactly why you should care. Savvy travelers will turn these shifts into advantages. The rest? They'll find out the hard way at the boarding gate. So who is this video for? If you fly even occasionally, whether for business, vacation, family visits, or if you're committed to packing smart, skipping the surprises, and staying ahead of the curve, this is your briefing. Because when airlines, security agencies, and baggage rules intersect, you don't just avoid the fee, you take control of the process. Here's the hidden truth. Airlines and security regulators rarely broadcast incremental policy shifts, not because they're malicious, but because the levers are behind the scenes. Equipment upgrades, negotiation with unions and vendors, cost controls, luggage bin, space pressures. When travelers aren't aware, that's when bags get gate checked, fees creep in, you lose overhead bin rights. Or worse, you find out you violated a rule that wasn't clearly labeled. The information is out there, but scattered, obscure, and under the radar. That's exactly why we're pulling together the real story in full. By the end of this video, you'll discover the 6 carry-on rule shifts happening right now, with 2026 on the horizon. How to spot them, how to use them to your advantage, what you must do to future-proof your travel packing, plus one secret perk that almost no one in the boarding area knows about. Buckle in. 1. Fewer bags equals more overhead space. First up, one of the quietest but most impactful changes is the shifting allowance and expectation around carry-ons and personal items. Many U.S. carriers still nominally allow one carry-on bag plus one personal item, but the behavior and enforcement are evolving. According to policy guides, for example with American Airlines, you can still bring one standard size carry-on, 22 by 14 by 9 inches, plus one personal item. But here's the nuance. Airlines are increasingly treating the personal item more strictly. The overhead bins are under more pressure, and gate agents are empowered to gate check based on overall space rather than strictly size. That means if your bag is bulky or overpacked, it could be subject to gate check, even if it technically fits the dimensions. Why this matters to you? When airlines and security agencies prefer fewer bags overhead for speed, boarding flow, cost savings, you get leverage. If you travel with one well-packed carry-on and one small personal item, you'll often breeze through. If you try to sneak in something oversized, you may get hit with gate check. What you should do, measure your bags, count your pieces, and be ready to own the one-bag system. If asked to check something, you can respond confidently, I'm within the one carry-on plus one personal item allowance. It changes the tone away from I didn't know to yes, I do my homework. Hack upgrade, choose a soft-sided carry-on and a slim personal item, under seat bag, that maximizes space but stays within the form factor. When the bin fills fast, early boarding or choosing a seat further back means fewer carry-ons competing. Use that to your tactical advantage. Key takeaway phrasing, I'm carrying one standard carry-on plus one personal item under the seat. 2. Size inches are staying, but enforcements are softening. Next, you'll see headlines claiming big changes to size limits. And while there are discussions in airline communities about smaller global standards, in the U.S. for now, the core dimensions remain the same. Roughly 22 by 14 by 9 inches, or total linear dimension of approximately 45 inches, for many domestic carriers. That doesn't mean nothing is changing. What's subtle is the enforcement method. For example, one carrier has removed the metal box sizers at the gate and instructs agents to err on the side of the customer if the bag appears only slightly oversized. Your advantage, because enforcement is shifting toward visual assessment rather than rigid measurement. You can pack creatively, but only as long as you stay reasonable. The bin still has to close. You still need to lift your bag overhead, so don't use this as an excuse to overpack wildly. But you can use this softening to your benefit by packing smart, choosing a compliant bag that maximizes allowed size. Action. Stick to carry-on whose external dimensions are no more than approximately 22 by 14 by 9 inches. But inside, optimize with packing cubes, compressible containers, and wardrobe strategies. When asked at gate, say, I measured to 22 by 14 by 9, including wheels and handles. Insider upgrade. Invest in a carry-on with expandable or compression feature so you can adjust size down on the way back after shopping. Since bins may be fuller on the return leg, this flexibility gives you upper hand. 3. Liquids might be the next big change, and you'll want to be first. Now this is where we step into the hidden rule shift territory. For years, travelers under Transportation Security Administration rules have been limited to the 3-1-1 rule. Containers of liquids, gels, and aerosols must be 3.4 ounces, 100 milliliters, or less and fit in a single quart-sized, clear, resealable plastic bag. But here's the news. The DHS leadership has publicly hinted that this rule may change. Secretary Kristi Noem called out the liquid limit in mid-2025 and asked what size your liquids need to be. What that means, while no formal 2026 carry-on rule number has been announced, the trend is clear, and early adopters will benefit. What this unlocks for you, when the liquid limits loosen or enforcement softens, you'll have more flexibility, larger bottles of lotion, bigger perfume vials, or other items you'd normally check or discard. If you anticipate this, you can plan your purchases, pack more intelligently, and avoid bucket loads of travel-size containers. What to watch for? Terminal upgrades with CT scanners, rule announcements from TSA, or pilots permitting exceptions. Until the new standard launches, you still need to comply, but you can pack with readiness for the change. If you travel often, you can keep a larger bottle in your carry-on, but discreetly segregated so you're ready for a change-out day one. Upgrade tactic. Keep travel-size bottles now, in case enforcement remains strict, and stash a full-size bottle in your suitcase. When the rule updates hit, you switch them. Also, keep your receipts if you buy something post-update. Some travelers report gate agents let it slide when the bottle appears obviously legitimate and recent. If you love uncovering hidden travel perks like these, rule shifts, policy loopholes, insider-friendly tactics, make sure you're subscribed to Boardifly, because this channel is built for travelers who want to fly smarter, not just cheaper. 4. Batteries, smart bags, and technology are influencing carry-on policy. The fourth shift is less about the bag size and more about what's in the bag. We touched on liquids above, and now we move into the tech era. Batteries, smart bags, and security scanner upgrades are quietly rewriting the rules of what goes into carry-on versus checked. For example, the discussion around lithium-ion batteries in carry-on has been heating up. Some airlines and security alerts now ban certain high-capacity power banks or require them in the cabin rather than checked. What this means is, what your bag contains may matter more than its external size. Your advantage: if you travel with tech, laptops, power banks, e-scooters, smart bags, this rule shift is your opportunity to pack more confidently or negotiate your carry-on rights. Also, smart bags with built-in batteries may need to be in the cabin, not the cargo hold, which means you can claim priority for overhead bin space. What you can do: check your airline's policy for lithium batteries and power banks. If you have a smart bag, USB ports, built-in battery charger, keep the battery accessible and declare it if asked. Don't hide. At gate check, say, this is a cabin carry battery device approved for carry-on under the battery policy. Insider hack: carry a small USB-C power bank that is certified for aircraft cabin use. Use it as your in-bag tech anchor so that the rest of your bag stays simple and compliant. Also, have your bag tags and serial numbers, if applicable, ready. It shows you're informed. 5. Overhead bin etiquette is becoming a rule in itself. Here's a rule that isn't written on a policy sheet, but you'll live it. Overhead bin space drives carry-on enforcement. Airlines and airports want to move people faster, reduce delays, and reduce the number of bags dumped at the gate. So many of the carry-on issues you'll face are less about exact dimensions and more about how your bag behaves at boarding. Large bin blocks, under-seat items overflowing, misuse of personal item allowances, all of this is being pushed back. Why this is an advantage for you if you know it. You can be the good traveler whose bag fits cleanly, boards quickly, stows overhead effortlessly, and who gets preferred bin space. That often means you avoid being gate checked, not because you asked, but because you make bin agents' lives easier. What to do? Use a bag with structured dimensions so it sits upright and occupies minimal bin footprint. Board as early as your status/ticket allows, zone, group, so you pick a bin with room. Pack such that the bag handles and wheels face outward. Pack clothes cubes in the bin space closest to the wall so you can slide the carry-on in smoothly. When asked by the gate agent, I have verified this bag fits standard carry-on dimensions and overhead bin clearance. Next level hack. Choose a cabin seat on the window side, if available, with its own overhead bin to reduce competition. Also, if flying with companion or family, coordinate carry-ons so that one bag is under seat and the other is overhead, maximizing your combined bin space without penalty. 6. The secret perk airlines don't broadcast and how to claim it. Now we arrive at the bonus insight, a rule perk that virtually no one in the boarding queue knows, and yet it benefits early adopters. Many airlines have carry-on gate check waivers or priority carry-on allowances built into premium fares or elite status. But here's the twist. When overhead bins fill, some agents will allow early boarding or prioritized overhead access for those who ask early, calmly, and with proof of dimensions, because they'd rather a compliant bag go overhead than dump it at the gate. In other words, if your bag is clearly within size, accessible, and you present yourself as a smooth traveler, you increase your odds of keeping it overhead even when overhead space is tight. Why this works? Boarding delays and bag handling are costly for airlines. When a gate agent sees a carry-on that fits neatly, they're far more likely to let you slide through, even on a full flight, because the alternative, dumping 25 bags, is worse operationally. The system is optimized for flow, and you become part of the flow. How to use it. Before boarding, have your boarding pass, bag tag, and carry-on in view. When your zone is called, step up confidently. This is my one carry-on and one personal item, both within the allowance and size to overhead. Use a carry-on that fits the model 22 by 14 by 9, but ensure it's streamlined, not bulging. Politely ask the gate agent, if bins look full, is there a preferred overhead bin for this carry-on? If you happen to be in a premium seat or status zone, mention it quietly. I have elite status/ticket, and this bag meets the standard size. Ultimate benefit. You're often the first to lock in overhead bin space, less stress, no surprise gate check, and often easier boarding. Let's circle back. Remember that scenario I painted at the beginning? The one where you're at the gate, hoping your carry-on doesn't get gate checked because someone measured you quietly, you weren't ready, and you paid a fee? With the insights we've covered, that frustration doesn't have to be your story. Here's your master key phrase for future trips. One carry-on plus one personal item, dimensions verified, positioned to fit overhead, ready to board. Use it as your mental bookmark every time you pack a bag. Assertive? Yes. Over the top? Not at all. You're simply the informed traveler, taking your seat at the overhead bin table with confidence. When you fly next, domestic or international, use these rule shifts. Understand the allowance and own it. Stay within the standard dimensions, but optimize your pack. Keep liquids in check and be ready for that upcoming shift around 100 milliliters rule. Include your tech gear intelligently and know battery/cabin status. Be early, board smart, and secure your overhead space. Politely present yourself as a compliant traveler. You're rewarded for it. One last quick recap. Fewer bags equals smoother overhead access. Size limits are staying, but enforcement is softening. Use it. Liquid rule change is on the horizon. Prepare now. Batteries and tech are now baggage policy again. Overhead bin etiquette is becoming a hidden rule. The secret perk, overhead space access when you show you're prepared. Now, I've got a question for you. What's the best free upgrade or carry-on win you've ever scored at the gate? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. If you found value in this and want more hidden travel intel, rules, policy shifts, perks airlines don't publish, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and keep traveling smarter until next time. Fly smarter.